If you've been online the past 24 hours, you may have noticed that Nintendo dropped update 1.20 for Mario Kart World, which, among other things we'll discuss in a minute, increased the frequency at which classic 3-lap tracks appear in worldwide races. To be clear, this is a good change, and shows that Nintendo is open to feedback about Mario Kart World, and that fans of 3-lap races, like myself, are being heard. However, these changes don't go far enough, in my view, and in some ways make the game worse. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my views on the update, including the good, the bad, and how Nintendo could improve the game further. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the increase in frequency of 3-lap races in online worldwide. Now, this is a good band-aid change for the online system. And when I played 10 races the night the update came out, I was offered 3 classic tracks. So that is an improvement over where it was. However, 10 races obviously isn't enough to draw a meaningful conclusion, so any data that you could provide in the comments about how often it's appearing for you out of how many matches would be awesome in terms of figuring out the new odds. But if this ratio holds, this is still a good change. All that being said, I am still advocating for a classic 3-lap race mode to be added to online worldwides. The fundamental issue with the way things are set up right now is that no one is truly happy. People like me who prefer 3-lap races to intermissions are screwed over by people who prefer intermissions, and people who prefer intermissions are being screwed over by people who prefer 3-lap races. The obvious solution here is 2 distinct queues for people who want 3-lap races only versus people who want intermissions only, so that everyone can enjoy the game how they want to enjoy it. And if we continue to keep the pressure on our end on Nintendo, there's hope for this to materialize in later updates. Seriously, Nintendo. When we're at the point where there are multiple Discord servers with 20,000+ people solely devoted to finding and opening private rooms to do 3-lap races rather than choosing your built-in solution, you've messed up. So anyway, the next change I want to talk about is the item changes, which are a mixed bag in my view. The biggest changes, of course, are going to be the nerfing of boomerangs, the nerfing of the odds of getting triple mushrooms in lower positions, which could be an issue, and the buff to the odds of getting a question block, which I don't really like at all. Now, to get the boomerang change out of the way, I think it's excellent, as that thing was way too good in the chaos that is 24 players. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it, as the latter 2 changes are a bigger deal in my view. Now, on the surface, lowering the odds of getting triple mushrooms in lower positions is a bagging nerf, as you now have potentially harder time cycling items before the next item set. But the problem is that lowering the odds of getting those triple mushrooms indirectly buffs the odds of getting a golden mushroom, or a bullet, or a star, or a mega mushroom, or whatever. The result of which is now that instead of having just 3 boosts and having limited shortcuts to take, you can now cut off huge swaths of an intermission more easily, or dodge a blue shell more easily, or depending on what item you pulled, dodge the shock more easily. The end result is that while item cycling has been nerfed, so you can't just get rid of all your items before the next double item slot and refresh them as easily, it's still doable with a bit more strategy, and the more powerful items in the game are now easier to come by in lower positions. Which means a comeback is easier to mount, especially in that last quarter of lap 3 or so. Which means that bagging, in some ways, got buffed. And if you follow this channel at all, which you should because maybe you're subscribed, you know I hate bagging with an absolute vengeance. What also hurts is the buff to the odds of getting a question block. Now, while I was testing the update online when it came out, I had multiple instances of a coin in one item item slot and a question block in the other in first place after the last item set, which as far as I know has never happened to me before this update, and robbed me of the ability to block red shells in the last 5 to 10 seconds of the race. You know, the time where you're probably going to get red shelled if you're going to get red shelled. The result of all that was, guess what? I got hit with a red shell just before the finish line, and I had no way to prevent that from happening. So basically, front running got nerfed, while begging arguably got buffed for some reason, in a world where front running is already, in my view, the worst it has ever been, and begging is the best that it has ever been. And you know the really funny part about it all? This change might not actually be so terrible if we could avoid intermissions entirely, as there are tracks where front running is still a good idea. However, because 75 to 80% of any given intermission track is begging heaven, combined with absurd rubber banding from the game itself, you end up in a situation where you don't want to be in first until around the last 5 to 10 seconds of the race. Which is just silly in a racing game. Because you should be in first, you should be building up that lead for the most part. But in World, you sort of can't as easily. Of course, again, you'd still be working with second place having triple red shells from time to time. But at least on a 3-lap track with 24 players, some of the remaining 22 players might crash into second place and get rid of those red shells before second place has a chance to throw them at you. All of that being said, the other changes are broadly good, and I have, in my view, and I have no complaints. I will say, however, that finally being able to see when you have collected all the P-switches and all that in free roam is a huge win. As is being able to race on the intermission tracks without CPUs, as it means that the broader Mario Kart World community could find something on them in terms of tech. So, in conclusion, what does all this mean for the game? The truth is that as of right now, most of the issues present in Update 1.1.2 are still issues, even if some of them are reduced in severity. Begging is still way too overpowered in intermission tracks. And if we're being honest, the structure of the intermission tracks means that begging will pretty much always be overpowered on them. There's no way to guarantee getting 3-lap tracks in Worldwide. So the only thing they've truly resolved, in my view, is free roam. And being able to track when you've collected all that there is to collect. And even then, I would still like to be able to figure out, hey, how many P-switches are left in this area, or like this region, or whatever. But for now, I'm just going to take the win on it where I can. So at some point this month, hopefully, I'm going to put out a video detailing exactly what I think is wrong with World, and how it could potentially be fixed. I don't know when that video is coming out, but it will. And by this month, I mean August, because this is probably coming out on July 30th. And there's no way I'm getting that video out tomorrow. Sorry. I'm not a miracle worker. I have stuff I have to get done. But I'm going to be blunt. I highly doubt that the Mario Kart Worldwide lobbies are going to be as full as they currently are as of the time of recording, this time next week. And if Mario Kart World doesn't get the fixes that I think it needs in the next couple months, or at the very least have 2 separate queues in online Worldwides, I don't think any kind of DLC that they give it is going to save the game. I just don't. Like, I think some people are kind of jumping the gun a little bit and saying that, oh, Mario Kart World is dead, because I don't think it's dead. I don't. I think it's dying, though. And it needs some serious help to continue to be relevant for the next, 7 years probably of the Switch 2? Because right now, If I was advising someone about what Mario Kart to get with their new Switch 2, it's probably still 8 Deluxe with the Booster Course Pass. I hate to say it, but the issues with World require that I think they will just have a better time with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe than World, and that's pretty sad. And on that unfortunate circumstance, it's time to end this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about 1.20. Did it help the game for you? I mean, are this Nintendo on the right track? Let me know. Also, let me know what ratio of 3-lap of options that you're getting in terms of being able to pick a 3-lap track in Worldwide. Because I don't know. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, join the Discord and all that. And I will see you all on the next one. Goodbye.